name is Kendra Long. I'm the production designer. What was there more questions?
You nailed it.
So yeah, my name is Kendra Long, and I'm the production designer.
I'm Mike Murphey, and I'm the gaffer, also fondly called the lighting designer.
All through college, I worked at this coffee shop in Brighton, and I sort of stayed friends with everyone who still works there. And my friend Ian, who's an artist, forwarded me a contact for Evin, and it was asking if they knew any actors, and also they needed a production designer. And I had nothing on my plate. And finding out that it was about this kid kind of trapped at a party, and he's descending into hell. I was like, oh my god, that sounds awesome.
Just graduated college and just trying to find work to keep myself busy. I started off doing lights and camera and directing, and then just kind of like on New England Film, I was like, they need a lighting designer. They mean gaffer, but let's just drop an email and see what's up. And about a month went by, and then I didn't hear anything back, so I just kind of emailed Evin again. I was like, hey, what's going on? And he finally got back to me, and he felt really bad. And he said there was another person that was supposed to be involved, and we were going to kind of head it up together, and then the other person kind of fell off, so I just kind of took over. And I got all these like really, really cool, interesting ideas for each of the different rooms, because I was doing Dante's Inferno. Inferno. There we go. I can speak proper English, I swear. So I was doing Dante's Inferno in each different level, and then combining like the coolest ones into one room. So each different room is going to be a totally new lighting design and lighting scheme. And I got to just play around with a lot of different lights, and I had a great direction from Evin and about what he wanted in each different room, from the colors, the tones, the hues, to the style, having things overexposed, slightly underexposed, and really just being very playful and open. There was a great dialogue between him and I about what we were both wanting to do and what he was looking for and how I wanted to execute it. So there was that's really what drove me, was just the openness, the communication, and the willingness to kind of just be creative on all fronts and not just follow, like, this is my vision, we're going to do it, no input. Like, everyone, from what I experienced, had really good input.
That was super collaborative. I was like a little nervous the first time I met with Evin. We like met in a library, and basically I'd already spent like a third of my budget on fabric. And I'd like sort of told him about this idea, but so I just like show up, drop all of this crap in front of him. It's like, all right, so we're talking about lust, and like lust is all in Dante's Inferno. Lust is it's like this constant swirling, windy, turbulent place, and it's the same way that in life these people were caught up in their emotions. In death, they're caught up in this like torment.
Do you have the disco scene?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So that was kind of that, and so I just had all of these little like bits of curtains and things. I was like, listen, I swear I will make curtains out of these. I haven't yet. But it will happen. And okay, so it happened like a day or two before the actual shoot, but I got it done.
Those curtains are awful. Just setting up those curtains were a pain in the butt.
Oh yes, they fell down a lot.
I'm surprised the fans didn't blow them off.
Or just get ripped down.
Yeah.
They did get stuck in the fans a few times, but if you just kind of jam your hand in there and pull out the fabric, it's fine.
They were low fans. It wasn't like...
The thing I was really excited about, but also the most nervous to talk to Evin about, was for the like last floor before the basement, which is sort of an amalgamation of different floors. But initially, it sort of started out just as gluttony, and in Dante's Inferno, they're basically wallowing in filth. And like not wanting to spray someone's house with dirt or garbage, kind of went in a very different direction with it. So
I mean, we could have. We just wouldn't have to set dress that room and clean it up.
It
would have been fine.
But yeah, that wouldn't have been as pretty. But so yeah, just like sketching out one wall of the room for Evin in this like library in Brighton, just being like, hey, so I was just gonna dangle a really long stretch of fabric from the ceiling and cover everyone in it. Is that cool? He's like, yeah, that's great. That sounds really awesome. So yeah, man, I think we got a little off topic.
I don't know.
I think the question was, why did you start? Not how awesome was it, but.
I mean, they kind of go together.
Yeah.
One usually leads to the other.
Yeah, because if it sucks, you head for the hills.
Exactly. Like right off the bat, it was just kind of super collaborative and like I want your input right off the bat. I don't know you, I haven't met with you yet. Like this was pre-meeting Evin in a coffee shop. It was just like, here's what I want. How do you think you can do this? It was like, well, give me 48 hours. Let me get back to you. And just super creative. And I was expecting to have like 3 backup ideas just in case he didn't like any of them. It was like the first idea was just like, yeah, go with it, run with it. Just give me an idea of what you're talking about. And it was just kind of like constantly throwing out ideas, and he was being very receptive and trying to figure out how to work the idea into the whole scheme and how I could work his ideas. So we're both having that mutual partnership of creativity into one big melting pot of awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things I was trying to do with the house was keep everything sort of visually cohesive, but still make every floor kind of distinct. So the first floor, I didn't really have to do very much. It's supposed to be a really bland waiting room, basically. And the walls were white, so I just put up some really depressing lace curtains I have from my dead great aunt's house, and just
I'm sorry.
Just the little details.
It's the little details that you share with the rest of the cast and crew. Be like, these are from my dead aunt's house. Have fun. Remember, you're supposed to be having the best time in your life.
Don't worry, she didn't die on them, so it's fine. I wanted to make that as stark a contrast as possible to Lust. You basically get, you come down the stairs and you get thrown right into it, and it's just packed, and then there's the lights going, and there's all this fabric everywhere, and everything's very crowded, and it's very like dark and kind of confusing, which is also like the experience like the only experience I have at a club ever. I actually really hate going to clubs for that reason. It's just like dark and disorienting, and you're just trying to get to the bathroom and you can't because no one will let you through, and that's more or less what our hero is going through. So I guess I was just thinking of like the worst house party ever. Like the first floor, everyone's really boring, and so you just want to get out of there. And then the second floor is just super crowded, and then the third floor, everyone's kind of a corpsicle, and then I guess you're trapped in the basement. So.
I've been to that party always.
The corpsicle one?
No, trapped in the basement.
Mm.
Yeah, that's
New Hampshire.
That's a different story though.
And then the color scheme, the grays and the sort of grayish blues, and there was a little bit of purple, but I really wanted to keep it sort of cool and neutral-ish. I kind of wanted that to carry down to the next floor too, so things start to get colder and icier, so you still have that blue, but it's just a little more pronounced. And so obviously, there's 2 giant sheets of fabric wrapping around everyone in the kitchen, but also everyone is bundled up. Their skin is cold and icy and blue, and it's that same sort of color. So I guess I was really trying to keep everything visually cohesive.
I was trying to do the exact opposite. I was trying to keep everything unified through the same use of the transition with like the super bright light coming from some place that he'd exit out of, but everything else I wanted to make sure like this is one room, this is another room, this is another room, this is another room, without there being any like real question. Like the upstairs floor was the first thing that you see is just like very, very bland, very normal room like. Except for the one really bright portion where we see our actors, which I can't remember her name for the life of me. Kirsten.
You never remembered her name either.
No, it started with a K. That's all I could recall.
You were worse with Francisco, though. Like, Romero.
Can we not talk about that? I forgot what his name was, but it was like Pablo for a little while, I think. Anyways, but I was trying to keep the upstairs kind of very natural, like a normal room, except for when Kirsten kind of made her first appearance, and she's very lit properly. So I was trying to keep it like it was a normal room until we saw Kirsten, and then I wanted her to really, really pop, so I make sure I had like a purposeful light leak on the wall to kind of like give her a little bit of extra pop to her, because she was in the all white and everyone else just kind of in street clothes. So I wanted to like really get that going, and then when we go out from the transition down into the storm room, apparently. Storm floor, with all the blowy blows and blinky blinkies. Even there, it was just like, you have the boring static light that's kind of like this yellowish dirty house, and then it turns into a giant rave scene immediately. There's really just like, there's no like slow transition. It's just like, oh, normal light, normal light, normal light, what's up, we're in a rave. I mean, we kind of had a slight transition with the people, but the lighting was just like pretty much dead cut between the two things. And when I was down there, I was like, okay, let's be high energy, be a lot of fun, stark contrast from the room we just came from, stark contrast from the room that we're going to go to. Let's have a lot of lights doing different things. Let's have some lights just accenting so we have enough visual light so we can see what's going on. Let's have some color strobes going on, coming that we can't see, but we can, like in frame we can't see, but are doing their thing and really lighting the room. Those were our main key lights. And then these little plasma balls that we literally just kind of gaff taped and stuck up to the wall.
They look cool.
They were, and we had two people just like focused on interacting with those, so you had a little bit more dynamic range with what light was doing what. And then we had the ethereal light blasting up the stairwell to make the next transition, and then when we cut back down, the ethereal behind them, and then starting to cool off the lights and making it not dull as in just normal house lighting, but making it feel cold. And then from there going on to that really bright overexposed ethereal setting for the very last scene. So I guess all in all was making everything visually appealing and making sure everything worked hand in hand with our fabrics, with our camera movements, with our set design, made sure all that was cohesive, but still having the continuity of the bright ethereal light guiding our main character to his final destination. This. Team Sassy Bitch.
Team Sassy Bitch.
Yeah, it was just the people, really. The people were really great to work with. Everyone, from day one, we kind of all walked in. It was just like the first half hour of, all right, let's get to work and like get their basics down. But it was after like the first half hour of everyone kind of feeling each other out. I mean, I kind of opened up a lot of my interactions with people with the second date story from one of my friends who went on this awful second date, and the guy was like, and I masturbate too all the time, and like the second time they met, and that was like my intro to meeting people, and everyone's like, okay, it's gonna be one of those kind of sets.
Yeah, that also sets a weird precedent for who you are as a person, because if you only hear that like there's a weird masturbating guy working on the second floor. But actually, so
it was like in like 2 hours into everyone working and talking with each other though. It wasn't like, hey, I'm like, want to hear a funny story about masturbation?
I went down to Rhode Island to Mike's parents' house because we're married, and it was about time they met me.
Exactly.
But so yeah, I wanted to do sort of like a lighting test, and first of all, that was great because I've worked on a lot of projects where like, you know, basically like camera department all things and art department all things don't really interact until they're on set, and then it's like, oh hey, by the way, you know all that work you did, well, we actually can't use it. So it was great to like go down. And that was also like it was a good indicator of what the rest of the shoot was going to be like. It was very like, hey, here's an idea I have, what do you think, rather than like, this is what I'm doing, deal with it. And his mom also brought out a cheese platter.
She's Italian. Like that's what she does. She brings food.
And like she asked me if I was hungry, and I was like, sure. And this whole plate comes out like a minute later.
It was already prepared. She literally like, I told her she was coming. Kendra was coming by, so we could actually work and get the lighting stuff done with the fabrics and make sure everything kind of like breathed and moved properly and exposed things properly. I was like, is she gonna be hungry? I was like, I don't know. I didn't ask if she wanted food. She's like, well, I'm gonna make her something. Like, Mom, we're gonna be working. She's like, I'll do anything. I'll do something small. Do a cheese platter. I was like, all right. My mom's cheese platter is also like this big.
Yeah, I like that small is still the size of like a hubcap.
That's pretty accurate, but that's, I mean, and then meeting Evin the first time, we met her at a coffee shop, left one coffee shop and kind of walked around, found a second one, sat down, talked more. We got sidetracked way too many times, and that's when I was like, this is gonna be, I like where this is going. And then everyone on set was just really cool with each other. Everyone had a good lexicon and a good knowledge base of what everyone else's stuff was called and how it worked. And if something wasn't working, it would be like, well, have you tried doing this? What about this? What if we do this and this? And it wasn't one of those things where it was degrading, where it was like, well, I know more than you. But it was one of those things where it's like,
I have another idea.
Yeah, like maybe this will work. Will that work better? And there was a lot of give and take throughout every department with that, from camera to directing to art, like everywhere. It was just a lot of good crossover. It was a really cohesive team.
Yeah, and like particularly on a small project, you can't really afford to say like, well, that's not my department, so it's not my problem. Like one of the things that made this set work so well was everyone was sort of aware. They were doing their own work, but they're also aware of what everyone else is doing and what they need. So it's like, hey, Kendra, I noticed that you are stringing up all those curtains and you look like a fish that someone threw on the side of the dock. Because you're just like flopping around a lot, not really accomplishing very much. Like, oh, thanks, corn dog. I could totally use some help. And then, yeah, you know.
Or stealing PAs from people because you just needed the help.
Yeah. Like and then you return them when you're done.
I appreciate it.
Talking about them like they're babies. Like they're adults.
It was their first set though. They were film babies.
They were film babies.
They were my film babies.
Yeah, I'm like, you get an Edison? What's that?
Let's go teach you things. Like my first day, the first like 3 hours of that was literally just in our equipment room going over everything that we had, how to set it up, what they were called. And but it would work because without that it would have been like, I don't know what you're asking for when I'm perched precariously on things.
So Mike did this thing and...
Which one? Third floor stuff?
Mike does this thing on set where he's like, don't worry, I got it, it's fine. And so he has like 1 foot up on the wall and then the other foot is sort of braced on a railing and he's perched over a cavernous staircase. So like if he slips, he's gonna fall basically crotch first down a flight of stairs. And he's like, don't worry, it's fine, I got it.
Fine.
I think you just hate ladders.
And ladders just take too long. We didn't have any, and if we did, we'd have to bring them upstairs. It was just faster and easier. Like no one needed to look. It was fine. And I don't want Corey or Austin to do it. And in like tweaking the light, we would have had to swing it back down and drop it. And it was just not worth it.
For so many times though, I was just worried about his well-being or future Mike Murphys. Like, don't worry, I'm just gonna, it's fine, I got it, it's fine.
You're the only person who I think has ever been worried about future Mike Murphys. Like them being healthy. Like other people are worried that I'm gonna have them. You're worried that I can't have them.
No comment.
Yeah. So what was the original question again?
I remember watching this music video and the like kind of behind the scenes thing for it. The band is the Stills. And the way they explained why they made their music video the way they did, they broke down music videos into 2 categories. It's either a performance video or there's a story. Or, you know, sometimes you mush up both. And I think, from my experience, there's actually kind of a third category of just like things, just lots of images that don't necessarily have anything to do with each other. You know,
kind of look cool.
Yeah, it's just like a compilation of things.
Can I interject and add a 4th category real quick? It's usually mostly with like rap and mainstream rock videos and rap videos, and I call it the bitches category, where it's just kind of like bitches and booze and glitz and glam and let's have a helicopter because we can have a helicopter and just toss stupid money at it. Yeah, just like toss stupid money. Like everything that happened in Bad Boys for Life by P. Diddy Combs when he was still rapping.
Yeah, what's his name now?
I have no idea. Puff Daddy. P. Diddy? Diddy.
Diddy.
It's just
like
Diddy.
Kong. Like Diddy Kong.
Yes.
I remember reading this article and it was about sort of the evolution of music videos, and the 2 endpoints they used were Thriller and Single Ladies by Beyonce. And so Thriller, like 8 minutes long, it's released in theaters, it's a short film, it works really well on a big screen. Single Ladies is basically 1 take, no background, no story, it's just performance, and it's really stark. And sort of the thesis of the article was that, you know, people are now watching music videos on their phones, on the bus, on the way to work, or on their iPads, or on their laptops. They're not going to the movies just to see an 8-minute music video. So the need was for a music video that you could sort of consume on any surface, and like it's still gonna look good. Thriller, you can't really watch on a phone. There's too much, and you squish it, and you can't see anything, and it's too dark, and you get bored. So I think, you know, there seems to be sort of this change in taste towards things that are smaller and simpler, but I still really like when there's a story. Like you got 4 minutes, you might as well use it well.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. I feel like there's just a lot more easy filmmaking now. Be like, well, let's just do it something flashy in After Effects, or let's really not put too much thought or concept. Let's just make it look pretty. But after like the looking pretty part, you really don't have much of a leg to stand on. I think filmmaking really needs to, especially music videos, like you have so much to explore. You can do the performance music video, you can do a story with it, you can have the visually cool aspect to it, but still have a story to back it. You don't just need like these images so you can, it shouldn't be about getting the views, it should be about making a good piece of work. It should be about making a piece of art that complements the music video, or the music. Having the two merging together should be its own artwork. Like music videos from the 90s I thought were like really, really well done. Like Teen Spirit was just, it was a performance piece with a story, visually appealing, they nailed it. I think a lot with mainstream music and mainstream music videos is there's a lack of concept through it. There's no more concept albums that are really coming out anymore. The last big one that was successful I can think of was Green Day's Boulevard Broken Dreams album. And like the music videos worked with that because it had a story to go off of and it kind of tied everything. I'm pretty sure they even, Billy Joel, is that his name?
Billy Joe Armstrong.
Yeah, him. Pretty sure he even wrote a play and they kind of performed it, if I'm not mistaken.
The musical?
Yeah.
Yeah, they did a musical.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, if you can transform your album to a musical, you're doing it right. But I mean, that's not to knock some of the cool videos that are coming out, like Jay-Z's On to the Next One music video.
Favorite.
Jesus Christ, when that came out, I was in my freshman year of college and our professor came in and we were like, we're throwing out the lesson plan, we're just going to watch this music video. Lance Vic, thank you for that. Lil Wayne's Love Me music video, visually super interesting, no story though. But even if you take like the visual interesting part out, if you take the music video and just watch it on mute, it's still cool to watch. Like if you should be able to watch any music video on mute and be interested by it. Everything's changing right now. It's really hard to like put your finger on the pulse of where music videos are going, where videos are going, where film's going. Everything's cheaper now. Everything's affordable compared to what it used to be. Everyone's doing it. Like you can find a capable crew somewhere nearby you to go get your vision out there, go get your musical sound out there, go get any piece of artwork that's out there. But trying to put your pulse on where it's going or what direction it's moving in, it's really hard because there's so many different genres doing so many different things on so many different levels. It's hard to really specify and predict where something's going to blow up and where something's going to do something awesome and what the next fad is. Like,
and there's also just so many more people producing content now that you can record an album in your bedroom with like a decent microphone and it can blow up. Or you can, shoot a music video on your iPhone and it can be beautiful and perfect. Mm-hmm. So it's the signal to noise thing. Like there's just so much more content on all fronts.
Yeah, and it's hard, like it's everything, everyone's doing something, everyone wants to be the next big thing, but being creative, knowing what you're doing, having a good team to back you are like the three big things you need in anything that you're doing right now. So I think if you have all those three things and you just keep working with those people and eventually like you'll have something really, really good. So I think that's the smaller groups of people that are doing cool things. Those are the people that are going to be shaping where music videos are going, where videos are going, where music's going, where everything's going. And everything's just kind of like moving really fast and it's confusing and slightly scary, but fun at the same time.
Everything's scary.
Hey, hi America. I'm gonna bring it in real close now. What's up? Keep fucking working, making cool things. I want to make sure I still train.
It's important.
Okay, now we can do that.
Just kidding.
Nope, she's focused on the cat. Never mind.
Hi, cat.
Okay.
You have issues, Steve.
But kitty.
I didn't